So is Loki worth the hype so far? That's Loki series on Disney+. What's up? It's Tech, it's GVN. Roll it. You know, in one of my previous episodes, I said something about wanting to binge the entire series instead of waiting week by week. But then I was like, I think it would be good to actually create a series where you guys and us go side by side per episode, and then I break down some of the things that I've said. So, speaking of breaking down, first and foremost, this will include spoilers for the series so far. So, if you haven't seen it, here is your spoiler warning. I'm going to be talking about episodes from 1 to 5 because episode 6, which is the season finale, is not out at the time of recording this. I'm going to do a follow-up video on that, which is going to be part of this series. We need to remember that, you know, this is the Loki, the bad guy Loki from the very first Avengers movie many years back, right? And we start the movie with that guy who used the Tesseract to transport himself to some other place. Now, the moment he did that, of course, the TVA came and they were like, yo, you need to come with us. And you know, Loki, still that same cocky guy that was the bad guy in the very first movie. It was like glorious purpose, all that jazz, blah, blah, blah. But next thing Mr. Manu was me. He got a hit to the face. And you know, it was Mumi Mosako, a character in this series. I like the character that she's played, and she's done her role very well. I like the fact that it started out that way. I'm just going to say right off the bat, as much as I love the Loki series, like I really have enjoyed it so far, there's something that seemed to be a problem for me. Okay, so get this, Loki is a god, right? And even though he's not as strong as Thor, he's very durable. I mean, this guy will take attacks from bombs and stuff, things that would kill regular humans will just maybe leave a little scratch on him, right? In the Avengers movie, because this is the same Loki from the Avengers movie that we're talking about, not the Loki that died in Endgame. This is the same Loki, or in Infinity War rather, this is the same Loki that we've been introduced to as the bad guy. Now, this Loki, in that same Avengers movie, which was just, a couple of hours ago, he stopped an arrow from Hawkeye. Do you know what it takes to stop an arrow, a normal arrow? Now, an arrow from Hawkeye, right? The kind of mad reflex you must have. This is the guy that carried Tony Stark. He held him by the neck and pushed him out of his window, right? Hulk did all that, puny god on him. And he was still able to walk on his own 2 feet while he was arrested. This is the same Loki that, because, you know, he had encounters with each Avenger. This is the same Loki that fought with Captain America, a super soldier, one-on-one. No regular person can do that against Captain America. But in this series, I think maybe they somehow just forgot that Loki is a god that tanks a lot of attacks from very strong beings, and he's not a regular guy. Because in the series, you see Loki fighting regular people and still having some sort of difficulty. The way Loki is held and manhandled, you know, I thought maybe the soldiers or the task force or peacekeepers of the TVA were like maybe augmented, you know, stronger than the regular. Maybe that was why they were able to hold him, because one person held him on the left, one person held him on the right. And my understanding too was when he was arrested in the first Avengers movie, with the shackles, it sort of dampened his powers or something, right? But then when you see Loki in subsequent episodes fighting a couple of other people, I was like, what the hell? Like, yo, did you guys somehow forget that Loki is a god? Yes, he's the god of mischief, but Loki is a god, is powerful, is strong. Oh yeah, and speaking of mischief, now, you know, Loki, being mischievous as it is, remember how he got the controller for that collar that he put around his neck to reset him in time, and then he puts it around Wumi Musaku's character and was going all and then, like and you could see the look in his face that he was really enjoying this. I was like, yes, this is the Loki we know. Now, see, that very first episode of the series for me was perfection. I mean, yo, I know 10 over 10 is the highest, but if I could give it an 11 over 10, I would. Because you need to understand that that first episode brought us from the Loki in the Avengers to the Loki post-Infinity War after he died. So we were able to get that Loki back in just that episode, and they did it brilliantly well. You know, him with Agent Mobius, that's Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson, you know, showed him all of the things that happened, all the things that would have happened in his future, which of course we watched in the main timeline, which is the sacred timeline that we've been watching this entire time. We saw all of these things play out. The Ether, his mom dying, him being the cause for his mom's death. We saw how it played out in Infinity War, how he tried to fight in Ragnarok. We saw what happened between him and Thanos, how Thanos choked him and him telling Thanos he will never be a god. We saw all of that play out, and he saw all of that play out. He actually cried, he actually broke down. That part was very, 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 very important in his character arc, right? But do you know the part that made me, and also made him, and made the audience, that just made him understand that, yo, whatever you think is your glorious purpose, like he kept on saying, is nothing compared to the grand scheme of things. So there are so many timelines, right? And the entire movie, which is insane, like, really, guys, think about this to show you just how insane it is. This entire time, we have been fighting, we have been watching, I mean, like 20 plus movies were made, right? Just because Thanos, Infinity War, Gauntlet, and all of that. And then you now realize that as big as you thought that was, it's just very tiny, it's just a speck in the grand scheme of things. Because in that guy's drawer, there are so many Infinity Stones, the Time Stone, the Space Stone, the Power Stone, like so many. So pick whatever you want, because in this particular place, it's irrelevant. I think that was the moment of epiphany for him. That was when he realized that, oh crap, I really do not matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, there is a much more superior force compared to me. And I like the way it played out, because the music, don't get me started on music. That's why I said, man, the first episode was just like bliss. It was like 11/10 for me, because the music was just very, very, very right, very on point for every single time something happened. And then you now realize that after Loki found out that, I think, in the grand scheme of things, none of this matter when someone is using like a space stone to hold down something in these people's office. That means everything that I've been fighting for, whatever I thought my glorious purpose for was, it's just irrelevant. It doesn't matter, the small beings compared to what really, really, truly matters. And I really like that. I like the way the entire thing played out. And did you guys also notice the cat? I think that was the cat. I mean, even though it's a lazy explanation from Marvel for the MCU for why Nick Fury just has one eye. But remember, it was that cat that scratched out the eye. That eye that is bad for Nick Fury. And I think we saw that cat in Loki. So I'm like, what? Like, the way they dropped some very, very interesting Easter eggs in this Loki series is very nice. And of all of them so far, I would say, yes, there's WandaVision. Yes, there's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And now there's Loki. I'll say right off the bat, Loki is my favorite of the three. And now, I don't know how they'll play out this finale. I am looking forward to it, because there is one thing, now I'm doing a little bit of a timescape. There is one thing that I know I did not like about it also. So the con about his strength, but also another thing. Remember how they played down the Mandarin in Iron Man 3? How they now said it was someone else that was casted, and then they used the extremist virus instead. I mean, the fans, me inclusive, did not like it, and now they are trying to redeem himself with the upcoming Shang-Chi movie in September. The timekeepers, if you grew up in Nigeria, you remember timekeepers in secondary school, bagang. So the timekeepers, the way they played it out, they are just some random androids in one room. I'm like, I mean, I don't know what the finale will be like, right? And there's some sort of speculation. I'm thinking that way too because of his connection to Renslayer, that maybe Kang the Conqueror, these are how it will be introduced. I doubt it, because WandaVision, the way we thought maybe the X-Men would come in with Quicksilver, that wasn't how it happened. So I don't think that would happen, even though we know that in the upcoming AntMan movie, we'll see Kang the Conqueror, played by my dude in Lovecraft country. We know that it's going to happen, right? But I don't think this is how they will introduce him. But I'm looking forward to how they will do it, because I want to see how that will play out. Because the timekeepers are stronger than just some random android that one got beheaded and that was it. I mean, to me, it made no sense. Oh yeah, and one thing that I also like about the series, Floki, female Loki, yes, she goes by, and she says she does not even want Loki, so she goes by Sylvie. But Floki in this series was played really well. I really liked her character. I like the episode of after a person is pruned, where you see all the multiple Lokis. You see old Loki, boastful Loki, kid Loki, alligator Loki. You even see President Loki. Now I'm smiling now because there was one episode with, there was one scene with all the Lokis where, you remember where Alligator Loki chopped off the arm of President Loki and then he screamed. You know, that scream was funny. Like that entire scene was funny. But I'll say some parts that I felt were not relevant and unforced, even though we know later on that, okay, main Loki, our Loki that will be following along, and Sylvie, Floki, turn out to be close to each other and all that good stuff, right? The comedy between them, for the most part, felt forced. Marvel doesn't always need to make everything funny. Like, these people were just trying to kill each other just now. There is no way in any world where they are now doing comedic stuff with each other in just less than a couple of minutes. It makes no sense. So that part felt forced, and I was like, yo, this is irrelevant. You guys shouldn't have done this. So yeah, I mean, I'll say that episode was probably episode 3 or 4. If I was going to rate it on individual episodes, you know, episode 1, I gave it like an 11 over 10. That episode was probably like a 5, honestly, maybe maximum 5.5. And that's me being generous because that was forced. It was unnecessary. I do not think it was needed. Oh yeah, and speaking of another fun thing that I saw in the series, like you guys, depending on how much of a comic book buff you are, you might not know, but it's an Easter egg. There's something called the Thanos copter. So it's an helicopter that Thanos used in the comics. It was actually there in that world. I'll call it purgatory. So it was in that world where you get pruned, you go to, and also, if you see it, you know, they said that is Kid Thor's world, right? And in that world, they said he killed his own Thor, and that was his Nexus event, because that's what it's called. Your Nexus event is what causes the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, to come in and, you know, just take you and say you are a variant and you need to be pruned and all of that. If you notice in that particular world, there is Thor's armor, and then there is a jar with like a frog jumping. That's actually Throg. So it used to be a human being who turned into a frog, and then it did something with Thor. And if you notice, it's T365. That's actually Thor issue 365, and then it has the guy in it. That's where he appears and all of that. So it was nice that they put that Easter egg in it, because it's actually a frog with Thor's power, and he also has his own Mjolnir, or they call it Troglinior, something like that. It was fun, really. The way they played with different things in this Loki series, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So it was one that I'm actually happy that I've gotten to watch so far. I know Black Widow movie is coming out, right? And do you know, so there was this scene in the trailer where we see Loki seated with a figure that actually looks like Black Widow. Well, I mean, now that we've watched it, for those of you that watched it with me, you know that wasn't Black Widow, that was actually Floki, Sylvie, with him in the scene. But do you know, I was more excited to see her, that's Black Widow, Natasha, in this, because, you know, with the color of that world, it looked like the world where she actually died, Vormir, I think. So I was more excited to see her in this one than the Black Widow movie, because we know the Black Widow movie, it just feels, to me, in my opinion, it feels more like a filler. It feels more like even though it's sort of important, but it's not even as important as, say, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Because Ant-Man and the Wasp, even though it felt like a filler movie, it was still important because Ant-Man was in the quantum realm, and it was him coming out that ended up giving them the quantum realm idea to go back and save things. So that was still important. Maybe a Captain Marvel movie, sort of, because it was just a way to introduce Captain Marvel. But this movie feels like a filler. That's the Black Widow movie, in my opinion. But yeah, I was excited because I was hoping that was Black Widow, but yeah, it wasn't Black Widow. So yeah, that was sort of like a letdown for me. Oh yeah, it was also nice to see that DB Cooper thing. You know, DB Cooper in reality is the guy that held a plane ransom and was able to escape with $200,000 by parachuting off the plane, right? It's interesting to see that they had their own spin on it, that was Loki, and then he got, you know, sucked in by the Bifrost after he parachuted off the plane because it was a dare between him and Thor. So that was fun. See, Loki overall for me, so far, I'll give it a 9 over 10. If I was to talk about the comedy, because MCU should please just stop with the comedy, I beg. Like, unforced comedy is not needed. Real funny stuff, yes, you will stick the landing. But unnecessarily forced funny stuff, no, that's not why I'm watching Loki. I'm not watching Loki to laugh. I'll watch a different movie for that. But yeah, overall, so far, it's been good. I'll give it a 9. So Loki so far has been good and it gets a 9/10 for me. I really pray that they stick the landing because the finale is important. Because downplaying the TVA, the timekeepers for the TVA, because one very important thing, one very interesting thing is this. Because the timekeepers are the ones that, according to them, according to the TVA, everybody has a set path. So good or bad, you have a set path, which is sort of messed up when you think about it, that a bad person should not turn to be good, because if you try to be good, you are just plucked off. Because that's what they did for all the Lokis. Any Loki that sort of went off their set paths, they just plucked off. Like old Loki, for example, decided to leave the fight and everything, and then he missed his brother Thor, and time for him to say, oh, let me go and say what's up to my brother Thor. First step out of there, they came, they took him, that kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I will understand why someone wants to rebel against that. What if I don't want to be bad anymore? What if I choose to be good? Who are you guys to say I must be bad because it fits your perfect story? So I like that fact. I think one thing that is my major takeaway from Loki is this. Loki is a rebel. Loki is a sort of anti-hero. Is this kind of person that he will question the authority as to, why is this like this? It reminds me of when we were kids. As kids, we're very inquisitive. You ask, why is the sky blue? Why is the ground brown? Why is my skin color this color? Why are my eyes yellow? Whatever it is, like kids were very inquisitive like that. And that is Loki. Loki would not just accept the status quo. I think that's the general idea for the Loki. Yes, it's still mischievous. Yes, Loki will still stab you in the back. I mean, that's like his thing. But Loki asks questions. He does not just say, this is a set path. Because according to the TVA, they say Loki has to be bad so that the heroes will be their best selves. Because he mentioned, remember in the episode, I think it was in the first episode where he mentioned that, if you guys are going to talk about someone breaking the time barrier and all of that, the Avengers traveled back in time. That's why they even messed up with that thing. That's why I got the Tesseract. That's why I was able to escape. And what did they tell him? The Avengers were supposed to do that. It went according to the plan. So the Avengers get to be heroes, but me, I don't get to be different. What's up with that? So I like what Loki stands for in this series. It stands for questioning the status quo. It stands for not just accepting things as they should be. Give me a good reason why I have to be a bad guy. And I'm not even supposed to be a bad guy at the end of the day. So why can't I create my own path and not stick to whatever path in quotes that you guys have with me? So I'm looking forward to how they finish it out, because what they did with the timekeepers is still bugging me, really. The timekeepers are meant to be like badassery on their own. I mean, even in their realm, magic doesn't work. And then you now find out that they are androids? No. That was like a major letdown for me. So yeah, Loki has been an amazing journey so far, and I'm looking forward to the season finale. I'll let you guys know what I think about that in the next video. That's in the next Loki video. Watch this video next to know why I gave America the Motion Picture an 8/10. This has been Tech. It's been GVN. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps us out also in the comment section too. It's been GVN. Peace.